August 12, 2017. It's a quiet morning on the Columbia River in northern Oregon.
It's a beautiful sunny day. We have friends aboard a fishing vessel. They're talking, they're laughing, they're fishing. Then, all of a sudden, we see a large-sized vessel barreling down on them.
Within moments, the fishing boat's captain notices the impending danger and desperately tries to get the power boat's attention.
And boat just gets closer and closer. They have to be wondering, what is going on? This guy has to see them. Why is he not turning? Why is he not slowing down?
The larger vessel continues to barrel straight towards the hapless passengers, threatening a deadly disaster.
The thing that surprises me the most is the high rate of speed that this boat is traveling. They have seconds to react. It's not stopping, it's not turning. They have to jump or die.
The passengers on the fishing boat make a harrowing leap into the cold morning waters with not a second to spare. But the desperate dive to escape is only the beginning of the day's ordeal for Chris McMahon, Brian Mace, and Ronnie Durham, who consider themselves lucky to have survived.
Everything could have very well ended in a blink of an eye.
You're there doing something you enjoy with people that you consider to be friends, and all of a sudden, bam, you went from a Disney movie to a horror film.
For these unfortunate friends, that morning's outing was meant to be the start of a relaxing annual getaway.
We worked together for 10 years and we've been fishing together the whole time. And I love it because it's beautiful out there. So it was him, myself, and a friend of his named Ronnie.
And as they prepare to set out in the early morning hours, Chris makes sure to get his GoPro cameras to catch all of the action.
This will be my 4th year as a full-time fishing guide. And I have a website and a YouTube channel called Angling Oregon, where we do fishing videos.
But Chris never imagines his camera will record these horrifying moments that are nearly his last.
The incident itself happened at about 8:20 in the morning. We'd been fishing for maybe an hour.
It was very peaceful, and I saw a large white boat coming towards our direction. It was probably 100, maybe 150 yards away. And I thought, okay, he's gonna see us, and then he's gonna veer off to either side and bypass us.
They continued to close the distance, and big boats like that just can't turn on a dime. No boat does. So that's why I jumped up and started waving my arms and yelling to try to get their attention. Hey! Oh my God! Fully expecting them to see me and turn.
None of it worked. And as fast as it was going, that distance closed very rapidly.
The oncoming 31-foot fiberglass powerboat is flying through the water between 30 and 40 miles an hour. In their 18-foot aluminum fishing boat, Chris, Brian, and Ronnie have only seconds to decide what to do.
It was either get run over or don't. We just all jumped off the boat.
When I jumped off the boat, I remember my right knee having excruciating pain because the boat actually hit my right knee.
And when these 3 friends hit the water, they soon discover that their struggle for survival has only just begun.
The scariest part of that whole incident was not what was caught on camera.
It's possible that they can get swept up in a current or get tied up in a boat motor. It's just incredible the amount of danger that they're still in.
When I came up, the other boat was just clearing the front of my boat. And there was debris all over in the water. Ronnie and Brian popped up, kind of next to me. And then that's kind of when everybody started panicking a little bit and, the reality of things started settling in.
I was afraid because we were not wearing our life jackets, which was idiotic. And the current in that point of the river is very strong. The boat that we were on was probably 20 yards away from us. The top of it was crushed down. And I thought to myself, I have to get to the boat so that I can stay above water. But it was just kept getting further and further away.
As the wreckage of Chris's boat drifts out of reach and the boat that hit them finally slows down and turns around, Chris, Brian, and Ronnie desperately try to stay afloat in the powerful current.
Ronnie was not doing as well. Brian was complaining a little bit about a tight chest and having a hard time breathing. And then that's when I started kind of freaking out a little bit.
I had on a sweatshirt, I had sweatpants, I had bib overalls, I had rubber boots. Everything is filling up with water. And that's when Curtis came along.
Witnessing the accident from their small skiff nearly 100 yards away, Curtis Burnett and his 8-year-old daughter, Ayla, come racing to the rescue.
His boat was small enough we couldn't get in it, but I was hanging on the bow, Brian was hanging on one side, and Ronnie was hanging on the other.
Curtis begins to ferry them to larger vessels, but the nearest one is the last boat they want to see.
When Curtis grabbed us, the first boat he went to was the boat that ran us over. I really didn't want to be on the boat that just about killed us, because quite honestly, I didn't know how well I was going to react.
Chris refuses to board and is carried to another craft, while both Brian and Ronnie climb onto the very boat that ran them over. It turns out the driver is 75-year-old Marlon Larson, who was out that morning with his son-in-law and grandson.
The son-in-law and the grandson were frantic. The driver of the boat, I remember, turned around and looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention."
The group rides to shore in tense silence. And once they dock at the marina, they are just glad to be alive.
There were already medical personnel waiting for us. I had to help Ronnie off of the boat, and we got her to the medics. And once Chris got back, we really didn't say anything to each other. We hugged each other. And it was very emotional that we had just gone through that. I firmly believe that had it not been for Curtis, we would not be here today.
The local sheriff and the U.S. Coast Guard open a criminal investigation. But Chris McMahon wants to get the story from the powerboat captain himself.
I met with him at a local restaurant, and the conversation didn't start off well because he started to tell me, he says, "Well, I want you to know this is really tragic for me too." You know, and immediately that upset me. But I had my computer with me, and I queued up the video to the point of the accident. And I said, no, wait a minute. You need to watch what I lived through. And I hit play, and he watched it. He actually was pretty upset. He was almost about in tears, you know, at what he'd done to us.
Marlon Larson is charged with the reckless operation of a boat, 3 counts of recklessly endangering another person, and 3 counts of 4th-degree assault. All charges are dropped just a few months later, when Larson passes away from unrelated causes.
There was also a civil suit with Mr. Larson's boat insurance company. And once his insurance company's lawyer viewed the video, there really wasn't anything to say. There was no fight. We've settled, the lawsuit is done, everything's closed.